system. Activating combat mode.
Woohoo! Yeah, boo. What's going on, guys? Eternal went back, and I appreciate you coming back out for another Armor Core 6 build video. This is going to be pretty much what most people would consider to be the meta. Dual Zimmermans and dual stun needles is absolutely disgusting. I remember when I was playing through my first playthrough, and I was using like dual plasma rifles and plasma missile launchers, and it carried me quite a while. But once I finally got to a point where I got stuck, I finally had the Zimmermans available for purchase, and then instead of the stun needles, I ran the songbirds, and this works really well too. So if for whatever reason you're watching this and you haven't beaten the game multiple times at this point, and you're waiting to unlock the stun needles, the songbirds are phenomenal. And they work really well with the spring chicken legs too, which are on this build, allowing you to just like jump up in the air and shoot down at the ground. Songbirds do really nice area of effect and like splash damage, to where you don't even really have to hit them. You just have to hit near them, and that'll be good enough. But once you unlock the stun needles, it's a wrap. These things are ridiculous. Coupled with dual Zimmermans, and my god, I literally beat the entire game with this exact setup. The only thing that was different was the HAL, because you have to beat New Game Plus in order to get it. But once you unlock the HAL piece, this thing just shreds. So let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, for the weapons, we're running dual Zimmermans. These things need a nerf. Let's be real. Will they get one? Hard to say. But when you couple them with the stun needles, good god, it's just absolutely ridiculous. You use your Zimmermans to stun, and then if they're not fully stunned, you shoot your stun needles at them. They get stunned from the initial shock. Then the secondary explosion does a shitload of damage, and then by that point your Zimmermans are already ready to shoot again, in which case you just melt health bars. It's ridiculous. You can use these for, you know, close to mid-range throughout the story and everything, and then you can use these for pretty much everything, close, mid, and long range. They work really well for all purposes. But you really want to use these once an opponent has either been staggered or is just about to be staggered. This combo is just disgusting. As for the frame, pretty much always running the Vero once it's unlocked. Just really well-rounded headpiece. And then for the core, I used a couple different pieces leading up to the HAL because it took me forever to unlock it. Believe it or not, I actually ran this for quite some time, but without the current generator, just because it's so heavy. But yeah, once you either unlock the ephemera or the VE40A, you know, you can run those until you unlock the HAL. But again, if you want to just switch out the generator, which I currently have as the aorta, you can use the Ming Tang, I believe it was, right? Ming Tang, yeah. Nope, not Ming Tang. Tian Quang? Whatever. This giant chunky piece that'll actually make you pretty durable too. But regardless of that, Vero, HAL. Now for the arms, a lot of people like to run the 46E because of its maxed out firearm specialization. And what that pretty much does is improves your target tracking performance. This is maxed out on the 46E, so that's why a lot of people run that with shotguns. Especially if you're zipping around and doing all kinds of crazy shit, you know, you kind of want something to be able to help you pretty much auto-target enemies, regardless of the situation. But if you don't want to run these, you can always end up slapping on the HAL version. This actually gives you quite a bit extra, but it does make you heavier. You're a little bit slower. But if you look at the amount of AP and the defense that it gives you, it could come in clutch depending on what you got going on. But again, it does make you a little bit heavier, so just keep that in mind. The HAL's great. in pretty much every single piece. I don't really like the head too much, but aside from that, every other piece just seems phenomenal. But yeah, we're rocking the 46E, and then I like the spring chicken. And the reason why I think this is one of the best reverse joint legs in the game, they're pretty heavy, but at the same time you get a lot of mobility and AP from them, which is fantastic. Also, I think they look badass, so that never hurts, right? But this is going to give you a lot more mobility, and I pretty much use spring chicken on everything that isn't melee. If it's not melee, I use spring chicken. Just being able to jump like 3 stories in the air or even more. Just great mobility, guys. Just great mobility. Really, really like these legs. They're just phenomenal. And they're really fun too. I tend to have more fun with reverse joint legs than I do regular bipedal, or bipe, whatever you want to call them. So, as for the booster, this is going to be a New Game Plus booster. But once you unlock the NGI 001, I pretty much use this for just about every scenario. The only time I would ever take this off is if I'm running a melee specific build or a melee centric build, in which case the gills is just really good. But between this and the Alula, these are probably 2 of the best boosters in the game. There's a whole bunch. I haven't tinkered with all of them, but I really like the Alula, which you can use up until you unlock the NGI 001. I did run these up until that point. Obviously, the Kikaku is for the Laser Lance, and then the gills are going to be more centered towards a melee-focused build as far as the booster is concerned. As far as the FCS, I'm actually rocking the PO5. It does not have maxed out close range assists, but the medium ranges, and you're going to be pretty much fighting at close to medium range with this build anyway. The long range assists obviously doesn't matter all that much, but if you're like right up on them, the close range assist isn't really going to do too terribly much for you, especially since you have the 46Es that max out the firearm specialization, so you kind of don't really need that. I mean, obviously if you want to use the Oculus you could, but I like the PO5 just because at close to mid-range I'm going to be about as accurate as you can be. Really good FCS. And then to finalize the build, I love the coral generators. I would like to throw this on, but it makes me a little bit slower, but you most definitely could throw on the NGI 000. This isn't necessarily a super fast build anyway. It's not like a melee centric build, right? So you could actually throw this on as opposed to the aorta. There you can kind of see what the differences would be between the two. In fact, maybe run the NGI. The reason why is because you're going to have a hell of a lot more energy capacity, and then on top of that you're going to get back even more post-recovery energy supply once you've pretty much tanked your energy. So yeah, really like this. I pretty much only run the aorta on lighter builds just because I can't afford to put the NGI on, but I do really like both. So yeah, honestly either one is fine. I think until I unlocked that, I either ran the Santai, the Mingtang, or one of these 20s, either the C or D. I can't remember exactly which one as it's been a while, but yeah, this is going to end up being pretty much the build. Again, this is what I would consider meta. You could argue, for a couple of pieces to tweak or change out completely, but for me personally, this build exactly, aside from the HAL chest, or the core rather, I beat the entire, first playthrough, New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus with exactly this. I just threw the HAL on once I beat New Game Plus and ran through New Game Plus Plus with it, but yeah, just absolutely disgusting. Really, really fun build. It's pretty much going to allow you to nuke everything. Bosses just stand no chance. It's disgusting. As for your expansion, you could literally run anything here. I mean, obviously you can run assault armor if needed. Pulse armor is never a bad thing, and then terminal armor can honestly save you. It just depends on the situation. But when I played through the very first playthrough and got to the end where you have to fight air, I used the pulse armor to just ensure that I could get those really close range Zimmerman shots to stagger her without taking any damage, because that fight was annoying as hell. But alright guys, that's going to be it for the video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to stay up to date on all of my content. I appreciate you coming out, and I'll catch you on the next one. Doses.